Hi everybody, Michelle McClunan, Astrologer and Life Navigator, and I'm bringing you the first new moon astrology forecast for the year, and it's a beautiful one actually. This is kind of, you could almost say this is the official start to 2024 because we started on a waning moon, and the new moon is always the new beginnings of each month. So I'd like to actually see this as the real start to the new year. So if you've been feeling a bit sluggish, or if you've been feeling that it's not really new year and that you don't have a lot of impetus, maybe it's the moon that's actually having an impact on our energy because it's in the waning cycle if you're watching this before new moon. So on the 11th of January, we have a new moon in the sign of Capricorn, which is an earth sign. A lot of people don't know that Capricorn is actually a feminine sign. All the earth signs and all the water signs are feminine signs. And Capricorn is most often known as the mountain goat, but actually mythologically it was the sea goat, which meant that it was half fish and half goat, and it meant that it could straddle both the physical realm and the heavenly realm. It could straddle the practical part of life, as well as the emotional, the more emotive side of life, the water and the earth. Now, this new moon is actually very, very earthy. There's a lot of earth in terms of all the planets that are around. A lot of them are in earth signs. So that gives us the impetus to create change and to build foundations and to kind of get our resilience together for the year ahead. So that's all positive. It is feminine though, and remembering that water is needed to actually feed and nourish earth. So I believe that there's quite a big focus on bringing water into our environment, either by actually watering, having a little water burner, a little oil burner, liquid water, swimming in the sea, sitting by a river if you can, dipping your feet in water, having long baths. Those kinds of things will actually start to balance this energy a little bit. So that's the energy, just very briefly, of the sign of Capricorn in the new moon. Capricorn is also very connected with things like resilience, determination, goals. If you look at the mountain goat side of Capricorn, it's very much about heading up the mountain. So you could see this as the beginning of the journey up the mountain of 2024. And Capricorns really like to have goals. They like to know that they've accomplished something and finished the goal and actually got to the top of the mountain. So there's that energy at the beginning of any new year, but generally we feel it, or we want to feel it, at the start of the new year. And as I say, it's a little bit late this year. So now is the time, it's a very, very fertile time to plant intentions for the year ahead. Not about outcome as much as how do you intend to be in this year ahead? How would you like to feel in this year ahead? What are the changes that you'd like to make to actually sort of help you along into the right direction? That's really what the energy of Capricorn is here to do. It's a sign that gives us resilience and determination and commitment as well. So those things are all here to assist us with starting the year. It's really about this first month of the year. I see it's about building foundations for the year. And those foundations this year in particular need to be very strong because this is a year of huge change on most levels. We've been saying this for quite a long time and quite a few years, I know. But this year, most people are saying and seeing numerologically, astrologically, energetically, this is a sign, it's a year of great change. So astrologically, the great change is very aligned with this new moon because basically this new moon is in Capricorn, and the planet Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And Pluto is right at the very, very end of Capricorn. And as you might know by now, it's going to be entering into the sign of Aquarius. It visited last year and then it went back into Capricorn, because what these outer planets do is they go very, very slowly. So they go forward and then they go backwards, and they go forward and they go backwards. So last year it entered into Aquarius, gave us a taster, then moved back into Capricorn to almost finish up its journey in Capricorn. Now it actually moves into the sign of Aquarius on the 21st or 22nd of January, depending on where you are in the world. And at the same time as it moves into Aquarius, the sun moves into Aquarius. So it's a double it's an amplified entrance into Aquarius, Pluto into Aquarius. But right now with the new moon, it's still finishing up this long cycle because of its connection with the moon. This also has a link back to 2020 when we had Pluto and Saturn coming together for the first time in a very, very long time. And we also had Pluto in a tight conjunction with Jupiter. So this cycle is also connected with that. So how have you grown in the last 4 years? How have you become more or less empowered? There's a really big focus this year on power, and not in the forceful way, not forceful power, inner power. So Pluto's journey through Capricorn. Capricorn is very much about, in this context, is very much about top-down governments, authority, the power sort of held by people in charge, by authoritarian figures, by governments, by big pharma, big tech, the elite system, the top-down systems with the little people at the bottom. That's the energy of Capricorn. Now with Pluto moving into Aquarius, we have a shift into the power given back to the people. So if we look historically, and I have discussed this before, but it's kind of key to discuss it now as well as we enter the year. As we enter Pluto into Aquarius, Pluto into Aquarius is power by the people, power given back to the people. And I think that over the last few years, we've seen a lot of people waking up to what the governments and the top-down systems really are about. Big tech, big media, the mainstream media, all of those things. A lot of people have begun to question them and not trust them as much, with good reason. And this is going to continue even more so as Pluto makes its journey through Aquarius over the next 21 years. So it's a long journey. And in that time, we're going to be seeing a lot of new innovations, because Aquarius is the sign which helps us to think out the box. It helps us to see the bigger picture. It's very inventive. It's very innovative. So I think we're going to see a huge amount of inventions that we didn't see coming, that are much, much bigger than we could ever have seen. That's on a positive level, maybe in the medical world, the natural healing world, the building world. There's going to be a lot of technological developments for sure. There's probably also likely to be a lot of contact with possibly extraterrestrials or galactic, the greater world that we haven't really known about. So I see that sort of happening also in the next 20 years or so. But as it makes its journey in, as Pluto makes its journey in, it's really, it's a slow process because it's going to spend a lot of time there. Pluto will leave Aquarius again in September for a short sojourn back into Capricorn until November, and then it'll be in Aquarius for good for the next 21 years. So I think this is a good time for us to make changes. The new moon is giving us a lot of impetus, being in a very favorable alignment with the planet of change, which is Uranus. It's actually saying we're supported to make changes and take concrete steps forward, one step at a time. Not too concerned about the greater picture, the very end result, because quite frankly, nobody really knows what that is. So not to be too rigid about the plans that we have, to have an intention, but to hold it lightly, like you'd hold a kite, so that it can actually move and it can sort of take its own way as well. Because we also are assisted with that with the planet Mars, which has actually also moved into Capricorn. And that's in a very beautiful trine, which is a triangle to the planet Jupiter, which is a beneficial alignment, which is actually saying, just give, sort of slow down, move conscientiously, step by step, without being too attached or too drawn or too rigid about the bigger picture, about the final goal. So stay quite fluid. I think that's a really big message. The sun and the moon are also in an alignment with Neptune, which is water. It's the sign of flow, and that's also giving us this guidance, if you like, to actually step into flow, not to be too rigid. I've said it a few times. Water is needed for Earth. Earth needs water. Those are the two feminine signs. So it's about honoring the feminine. Not only now, not only this new moon, remembering this is the new moon, which begins our calendar year. So it does kind of inform the year, and it moves us into the year. So it's a good thing to remember the mountain goat, which is half goat, half fish. So it's water and earth. It's the feminine. And I have a very strong sense that the way that we cope and move through the changes that we're going to see on our planet this year is by honoring the feminine, not just honoring females. This is for guys as well. It's honoring the feminine within us, feminine vulnerability, the ability to flow rather than demand, to flow rather than force, actually, to allow things to evolve and to play out the way they need to play out. So it's almost us, I'm seeing it as endings and beginnings, to ask ourselves at this new moon to take some time out. Always good idea for new moon. It's happening at 1:57 p.m. In South Africa, which is kind of lunchtime, but you can set your intention anytime after that. So I wouldn't do it before that. It's a good chance, it's a good opportunity to ask where we've changed, how we've changed, what we would like to bring with us into the year, how we would like to be, how we'd like to show up in the new year, how we can be more present, how we can be more loving, how we can be more kind, and to actually give ourselves that opportunity, and then that will ripple out into the universe. And that's where our power is as the collective. That's taking our power back and actually becoming the change that we want to see in the world. That's the power of Pluto into Aquarius. That's the Aquarian age. We're seeing a lot of different things being birthed, particularly in the last 4 years. People living together in community, growing their own food, coming with their own methods of harvesting water, electricity. That's going to become more so as we see that we need to become more self-sufficient and less reliant on the big structures. And I think that one of the keys for this year is to bring ourselves into presence over and over again as many times as we need to during the day. It's just a few breaths. So it's just breathing in and settling in to this moment. And from this moment, we can make the right decisions, we can make the right choices, because we're more aligned. We're not manically trying to change the world. We're actually intuiting and feeling our next step forward. And that's the way I see this year, and this new moon in Capricorn is showing us the way. It's a little mountain goat leading us up the mountain, saying, okay, one step at a time. If you need to stop, stop. Breathe. Center yourself. Then take the next step up the mountain. You might not be able to see the mountain peak, but you can do this step. And I find that very helpful when things are going a little bit pear-shaped in our world. And as we've seen, if you've been watching anything from the beginning of the year, there's a lot going on in the world. Weather-wise, all sorts of things going on, all quite strange things happening. So it's all the more important to keep our center and to keep bringing ourselves back to this center, which is where our true power lies, which is what the year is about. It's about returning and connecting with our true power as co-creators. So it's very powerful. It's a beautiful new moon. It's going to be a very exciting year. I think it's going to be a year full of movement and change and possible challenge. So the more centered we can be, the better. I pulled a card for this one, and this one actually fell out the pack. We've had it before, and it's a very powerful card. It's the last card in this pack, the Divine Feminine of the pack, and it's called the Cosmic Egg, the Divine Feminine. the sort of byline says, I hold the universe within me. I am the force of an ever-expanding love. Powerful. I'm going to read a little bit to you because I think it's quite valid and relevant. The cosmic egg is the core symbol of the divine feminine's creative force. It is a spiritual motif found in the creation myths of countless cultures and civilizations. It represents a birth, a new beginning, or an expansion of life. I mean, obviously that is very apt for any new moon, but this one in particular. In modern cosmology, it's believed that 13 billion years ago, the entire mass of the universe was compressed into a gravitational singularity, the so-called cosmic egg. And from that singularity, the universe has expanded ever since to its current state and continues in this moment to expand even further. So personally and collectively, when your soul selects this card, nothing needs to happen. Everything is exactly as it should be. You hold the universe inside you. All life emerges from within. If you try to exert pressure for something to exist before it's ready, the new life within you will not have the time it needs to fully form. The cosmic egg is the essence of the divine feminine. It's the ultimate symbol of the creative force that exists within each one of us. It's the dark, loving womb that holds and protects all creative expressions of life. If we allow, that's feminine, what's within us to emerge in divine timing, in kairos or soul time, then what is within us will transform us. The egg is the trust that what is ours can never be taken from us. So there's no need to answer the ego's push to rush the process, to impress others, or to complete something on someone else's time. The egg is the faith that our process is sacred, that even in the midst of what looks like chaos, or delay, or even death, there is a tendril of new life that needs only our trust to eventually take form. And the egg is the knowing that life begins again after death from within. Isn't that beautiful? And the soul voice meditation, the affirmation or the question you can ask is, where am I ready to expand? What seeds can I plant this new moon? And maybe it's a good idea to plant something in the ground with your intention. How about that? We plant something, plant a tree, plant a plant which you can watch bloom and grow over the year ahead as a symbolic gesture of the new year, of the growth, of the expansion, of our connection with Mother Earth, with Father Sky, with the elements. So I think that would be a really beautiful thing to do. I hope this has helped you. I hope it's given you a little bit of insight into the year ahead. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Until then, plant those seeds on new moon. If you feel tired, it's okay, rest. You're not a robot. I think this next few years we're going to be asking what it is to be human, and humans need rest like animals do. And so if things aren't moving forward to your desires, to your ego's desires, allow yourself to just allow it to happen in its own time and show up and do what you can do. That's all. You're not going to be sitting surrendered without doing anything, but do it slowly, do it deliberately. That's what Capricorn's saying. Go slowly. Just go one step at a time. Do what you can do in this moment and bring yourself back over and over again. If you like this video, please would you subscribe and hit the notification button so you can know when I post a video, which is every 2 weeks. And if you would like a reading, I am a little bit booked up, but you're welcome to contact me via my website below and we can set up a session for you. I consult on Zoom all around the world, and I do birth chart readings as well as follow up transits and progressions and what's up for you for the year ahead. Thank you so much for listening, and take care, look after yourselves, and happy new moon for the 11th.